everyone, and welcome to this episode of Linking the Blocks, the ChainsAtlas podcast. Usually every 2 weeks. This time I had a bit of a voice issue last week, so we had to move it into this week. My apologies for that. Today we have a great guest, Emmanuel from Axone, who's going to talk about his journey into AI and blockchain. His company is AI orchestration layer, decentralized, and yeah, it should be a very interesting conversation, especially with what we are doing at ChainsAtlas, and there is a lot of synergy. Emmanuel, welcome.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Eric. Thank you very much for the invitation. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. Let us start with your journey. Like, how did you get to the Web3 and AI space, and what excites you about it?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, let's say that my journey in the Web3 space and into AI didn't start with models, but it started with questions. I'm not a tech guy. I'm more like a business developer and a data-driven marketer. And in 2021, I co-authored a manifesto called the Decentralized Digital Commons, rooted in one core idea. Knowledge is a limiting factor for the common good, and data is a non-rival resource. And so on these two elements, that publication sparked the creation of Axone, not as an AI project initially, but as a new infrastructure for sharing data and knowledge beyond the extractive logics of centralized platforms. And we imagine what it would take to build data spaces as digital commons, governed by communities, not corporations, and enabling trust, coordination, and innovation without intermediaries. And later in 2023, I had the opportunity to contribute to the post-web thesis with Outlier Ventures, who are backing us, and that gave a name to what we are building. That means a shift from a web of pages to a web of agents. And that's where AI truly entered into the picture. And because to make this common intelligence, to make agents reason, collaborate, and align with human goals, we need more than compute. We need semantics, and we need governance. We need the orchestration layer that we are building with Axone, and that's how Axone evolved into what is it today, a semantic coordination protocol that brings collaborative AI to life and zone at a time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sounds super exciting. Collaborative AI is a really interesting topic. I mean, with the technology evolving and the autonomy of AI agents increasing, we've seen the first AI-driven organizations, things like that. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what that takes and how you guys maybe work on enabling that future.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and what we're moving towards, right? How the future will look like with
I mean, what future will look like? I'm not sure I can answer to that question, but I mean,
you
let's
can
say
give it a
that
best bet. I mean, we don't hold you to it. We don't look back in 2 years and tell
yeah,
you
yeah,
where you
yeah.
were.
Let's say that I have I strongly believe in some. I have a strong vision, let's say, and my goal is to make this vision alive. And I would say that our collaboration is something very, very important, and especially when we are talking about AI. Today, most of AI systems, even the most advanced agents, operate in isolation, and that means that they are great at processing, predicting, even generating content, of course. But when it comes to coordinating with other agents across systems, across organization, I mean, these things break down definitely. And why? Because we lack of the shared semantics, the common governance logic and the infrastructure for trustless coordination. And I mean, for me, there is a triple bottleneck. The first one is n-square integrations, meaning that each new agent or dataset requires custom connectors, API keys, and bespoke mappings. And also, the other problem is semantic gaps. That means that one agent's user profile might mean something completely different to another. And definitely after, there is a lack of policy enforcement. There is no native way to encode and verify who can access what, under which rules, and with what value splits. And the value split is something very important. So that's why we try with Axone to solve these three main problems by introducing a semantic and economic orchestration layer on chain. I mean, we provide an on-chain ontology to give agent a shared vocabulary. Then we have a prologue-based logic engine to express and verify orchestration rules. And then, also we provide a governance zones. What we are calling zones, it's to be able to define local rule sets, value sharing models, and access policy, all verifiable with capability to evolve and all composable. And also there is also the capability to have a native micropayment layer where every action, a GPU burst, a dataset read, a model call, can be tracked, priced, and settled. And so what we try to build as a future is to turn AI from isolated intelligence into coordinated intelligence. And we believe this orchestration layer that we are building with Axone is the missing infrastructure for the post-web, where, and this is my vision of the future to answer your question, where agents don't just act, but collaborate, negotiate, and self-govern. Yeah.
So along those lines, for agentic AI, as you describe it, what do you think will be the first exciting use cases where this becomes really mainstream? I mean, we've seen hedge funds trying to be built on agentic AI and doing quite well. We've seen it for VCs, we've seen it for some other things. But in your personal opinion, where would you see the first breakthrough?
This is a very tough question. We are trying right now to build some example of application. For example, we develop a platform named Cat AI where people can collaboratively train an AI agent. I'm sorry, an AI model. That means that we are incentivizing people to share their data to be able to train a model. And at the same time, also in this zone, there is the capability for, because we are not controlling what people are providing. So we are proposing also to the people to not only provide data to train the model, but also to make the curation of the data. And there are incentives mechanisms to make people participate to this and to collaborate collectively to train this model. This is a kind of example. And you can imagine this. I mean, we made this with images of cats, and the reward were NFTs of the images created by the models. This is very stupid and degenerate, but you can imagine several university hospitals who are sharing images of patients to train.
That's never stupid.
I'm sorry? Sorry, Eric.
Our operator here, sometimes she will tell you.
Okay.
Cats are never stupid. I said cats are never stupid. You can ask our operator here sometimes. She will confirm. Was just joking. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I was saying that a use case can be that university hospital can share images of their patients with the guarantee, because Earth data are very sensitive and private. So with the guarantee that all the images will be fully private and everyone will keep the ownership of the images, but at the same time, this image can contribute to train a diagnosis model, and then this diagnosis model can be shared to any other institution or whatever, and they can decide to have a payment business model or whatever. So and this is made thanks to the organization of governance on the zone. On the agentic side of things, for example, now we are working on several agent swarm where we are enabling agents and swarm of agents to collaborate themselves for example, copy trading application or DeFi application to optimize the choice, for example, on Morpho for landing a project, or even we have a use case now. Will be live in September. The name is Hypersense, where you have a swarm of agents, and you can bet on this application to do so that this swarm of agent is gambling and choosing some hyperliquid vault, and you have the optimization of the choice of vault, and then you are sharing the yield with all the participants. I mean, this is that kind of application, and I mean there are lots of possibilities.
Yeah, it's really exciting times indeed. And as I said, as these agents become smarter and smarter, they can basically replace whole steps in the usual process in entity companies. And as I said, like they were the first VCs and hedge funds that were run basically exclusively by agents, supervised by humans, of course, but the operations, day-to-day business, and analytics of the investment targets was all done by agents. It's super fascinating, and apparently, according to some metrics, they were doing better than the human counterparts. So
yeah, I mean, the agents
yeah,
are programmed, are made to optimize things. So for sure,
exactly.
they will make things better. Than
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, this is the optimization. So yeah, I
And they're
mean,
not influenced
this is
by emotions like humans would, right? Yeah. It's especially in these fields, I think it makes a lot of sense. Um, and that goes along a bit of the I asked you about the future and like how would a future look like? Like the term post web has been going around quite a bit. So how would the next iteration of connected interactivity between then only not only humans but AI and humans look like in your opinion? I mean that's maybe a little bit further out than my first question, but I mean,
yeah.
in your fantasy, in your own vision that you work towards, where do you see the future? How do we, yeah, how do we interact? How's daily life looking like in say 10 years?
I think there is how can I say that there is first of all, maybe we can talk about the vision of what is this post web, and how AI can shape this shift. That I mean, this is a believing. Okay, so to me, the post web marks a shift from passive interaction with pages and platforms to a world where autonomous agents act on behalf of human intent, and this is very important. Maybe we come back later on this myth of singularity. I don't believe at all in the singularity because I think it's a myth. And you are a ChainsAtlas, so you are very well placed because I mean. Atlas and all the narrative that you have around Atlas and Hermes and everything, you are on the Greek mythology. So there is a lot of mythology about the singularity. For me, the post web is no longer just read, write, own, but it's read, write, own, and delegate. Okay, so and in the post web era, intent replaces attention, and AI agents increasingly orchestrate our digital interaction. It's an infrastructure where agents, both human defined and AI, move across domains, negotiate access, and carry out tasks subject to programmable rules and value exchanges. This is really my strong belief about this. And why it matters now, it's because in Web 2 we clicked, and in Web 3 we have the opportunity. The Web 3 gave us the opportunity of ownership with decentralization. The post-web empowers delegation. I mean, we can specify what we want and let systems coordinate to achieve it, even across organizational, geographic, and technological boundaries. I mean, a lot of people are asking themselves, hey, why Web3 is not, more, I mean, wider in the usage, and why it's still so, I mean, not so developed in the normal life. I think because Web3 is definitely made for machines and not for human beings. I mean, it's too complex for human being to manage all these wallets, all this swapping of I mean, tokens and everything. I mean, everyone is not a trader, and if you want to use the Web3 technology today, you have to be first a trader, and who is better trader than an agent? So definitely, Web3 is made for machine, and this unleashes the intent-based economy where AI agents execute collaboration on our behalf, which is completely liberating users from repetitive tasks and give them agency through programmable logic. I mean, this is how, for me, AI is shaping the post-web. So it's agents as default. I mean that autonomous agents serve as our proxies. They monitor, negotiate, execute, and they become the building blocks of the internet. And this is not will be apps anymore. And it's where orchestration becomes an infrastructure, meaning that we must move beyond APIs and prompts towards semantic coordination, shared ontology, and on-chain governance zones. This is in what we are building, actually, and this is the shift from individual compute to community level orchestration. And this engage new economy rules. That means that there will be a lot of micropayments, for very small tasks, and value sharing, and then also, for example, all the carbon budgets and policy layers. So we are embedding economics into intent, and that makes post-web system self-sustaining, auditable, and adaptable. And I think this is I mean, Web3 and agent will create this post-web era. And for me, it's a fundamental transformation. The web is no longer just clicked or on; it's delegated, and AI agents become proactive collaborators and not passive tools. And that's where we sit at the heart of this shift. We are building the semantic governance and economic layer that allow agents to understand intent, to coordinate across boundaries, to also, operate under auditable, evolving rules. And this is very important because this is where the policy is, and this is where the human being will be. To be able to hear, to audit, to create rules, to define the rules, to make them respected, and this is where there is a collectively act on our behalf, and yeah, and AI is just not powering the shift for me. AI is definitely the shift for that. I hope I'm clear, but because it's quite complex, I try to be, as the wider as possible in the view.
No, it's really good. So basically, you're working on the layer that makes these agents speak the same language, right? and communicate to each other in the right fashion. How do
Yeah.
you, or what are the biggest obstacles that you're facing in doing so? What's still holding us back?
Um, I think the main obstacle is not technical, is about the mind shift. And I think the overlooked and underestimated challenge is governance. Most people focus on performance, better models, faster compute, more data. But once you try to make AI collaborative, especially across organizations and communities, a critical question emerges: who decide the rules of collaboration? Who defines what an agent can do? How value is split? What counts as a violation? Without without this governance layer, collaboration becomes either rigid, that means that it's our code logic that breaks as soon as conditions change, or chaotic, that means that flexible but unaccountable, with no audit trail or recourses. This is especially true when agents manage sensitive data, money, or decisions that impact humans. You need guardrails and programmable guardrails, not just policy on paper, but logic embedded in the system itself. And that's why to understand this and to push people to and to also embed also not only developers, but product owner, project manager, people who are, because there is such a gap between the developers now who are developing on the Web3 and the normal people like me. and it's very important to create this link to talk about governance and to try to introduce contextual governance elements. That means that modular on-chain environments where rules, roles, and incentives are explicitly defined and verifiable. And I think this is the highest challenge that we are facing with, to onboard and to make this collaboration between, let's say, people who has the vision and developers, and understand that the governance as don't have to be treated not as an afterthought, but it as a computational layer, as essential as storage or bandwidth. I mean, this is very important. So this is the challenge.
So if I'm starting a venture now and I want to build an agentic XYZ, doesn't even matter at this point. Maybe trading agency, investment agency, whatever it may be. So what are the biggest things I should look at? What will be my challenges in getting to build it? You already touched on the rigidity or flexibility of communication between the agents. I don't want. There's this a famous example where two agents realize they're agents and then switch to another language that's only understandable and intelligible to them. So that's an example of the other extreme, right? And then what you already mentioned, it's completely just coded logic, very rigid. Once conditions change, it will break. So, but yeah, let's look at this from a more pragmatic point of view. I want to build a agentic investment firm. I have like my different analysts, I have my decision makers, all these agents that I need.
Yeah.
What are my main challenges in getting that like rolling?
I mean, once again, I think the main challenges will be to make this system auditable and accountable. That means that, for example, if you want to have this system, I mean, you have to be able to bring coordination and because you cannot have collaboration without coordination, and you can have coordination without governance. And I think for me this is the silent bottleneck. And if we don't design for it, collaboration will always hit a ceiling. And I think you have to be able to provide as much transparency as possible into the way that you build and the rules that you define into your, let's say, agent swarm, and also where your agent are coming from, what kind of tools you are using, what kind of authorization you have having, and it can becomes very, very complex. So you need to have a protocol who is helping you to manage this, I think. And my advice would be to use Axone to do that. But I'm not fair at
Surprisingly,
this
surprisingly,
point.
not completely impartial, I assume.
No, no.
Um,
I'm assuming it.
but that's a good answer. It's an exciting world we're moving towards, and these things become more and more clear. Um, it always sounds so easy, and it sounds like we solved the hard issue, which is the AI, but that's how humans tend to be, right? We have these big challenges. Once we solve them, we think everything else, like, come on, it's easy, it's mundane, it's not that interesting. And but those are essential things, as you say, like to be able to have an audit trail, to understand, be accountable, right? And hold
Yeah.
your agents accountable. I
Uh,
think that's a really good
and
point.
I think we have to work, I mean, to make AI truly collaborative across platforms and organizations. And anyway, I think we both are working on each different face of the same coin. I mean,
Yeah,
for me, the biggest barrier today is semantic fragmentation, not just technically incompatibility, but this is a deeper problem. AI systems don't share a common understanding of the word. I mean, each platform, each organization, each model has its own schemes, its own vocabulary, its own assumptions. So when we try to make them collaborate, even if they technically connect, today we have MCP, we have A2A, they fail to coordinate meaningfully. I mean,
mm.
and this leads
It,
to yeah, sorry.
no, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this leads to what we call the n-square integration problem. Every new agent or data set add exponentially complexity because there is no
Mm,
universal layer of meaning. And add to that the lack of shared governance. Who sets the rules? Who sets the rules? This is the good question. Who sets the rules? And also, value alignment. How are contributions reward? Uh, Policy enforcement. Who ensure access is compliant? And what you get is fragmentation, duplication, and friction at every layer. In a world of moving toward agentic decentralized system, this just doesn't scale. And this is where I think try to offer on-chain ontology to give all agents the shared semantic foundations, and to be able to embed reasoning and coordination logic, and also to support verifiable economic flows. Who contributes, who benefits, who governs, and so this is the way uh, of be able to collaborate via meaning, logic, and incentives. I think this is the today this is a core issue here. And the biggest barrier is not that agents can act, is that they don't know how to act together. And to solve that, we don't need bigger models. We need, let's say, better collaboration and better protocols.
yeah. I mean, it's not that different to humans, right? If we need to create our own set of meaning for certain words, we need to define what specific things mean. Otherwise, we cannot communicate with each other. Like that's why from the basic concept of language, um, that's why a French speaker doesn't understand a German speaker, right? If they
Yeah,
speak in their own languages. And in a context, and I've worked with that on my former startup for a while, of really specific technical systems, we usually have a set of very, very specifically defined words. And these have meanings within the group that really understands them, that studied that particular topic.
yeah,
Maybe law, I studied physics, or there are certain things that have a very specific meaning that might not even be in line with the everyday meaning of the same word, right? So it's a super fascinating topic. And then for AI to know, okay, what meaning is this now, right? Ontologies are a really fascinating thing. We could talk
Yeah.
about them for probably another hour. Maybe you
Yeah.
can explain real quick for the audience what an ontology is, and in the sense of a technical ontology, um, how it's used and why it's been around for a long time. I mean, there have been, I think, RDF was developed somewhere in the early 2000s, right, or earlier even, and then we had the triple stores for a while in these ontologies. So these concepts are around for a while. Actually, fascinating enough, the first iteration of the name Web3 was supposed to describe a semantic web based on ontologies. It then, as languages, was
Yeah.
recoined into meaning it's blockchain ownership based web solutions. But the initial idea was the semantic web idea. So
Yeah.
maybe you can talk real quick about what that means and why it's relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. My journey in this business started with the problem of the data and knowledge, um, because and about the knowledge economy, which is a complete new paradigm. So, what is an ontology? I think for me, and I will try to express it with my non-technical representation. Okay, an ontology is a formal structure representation of knowledge. That means that it defines the concepts in a domain, like for example, user, wallet, transaction, agent, and then also the relationship between those concepts. That means, for example, an agent controls a wallet, and the rules or constraints that help system interpret the meaning. So think of it as a shared vocabulary with structure and logic, not just words, but an agreement on how things are related and what they mean. And actually, I mean, you said, I mean, the web semantic standards are yeah, from the early 2000. I mean even before, and the triple store and all these elements are from the early beginning of the internet. And why ontology is so important, why it matters, because when you are talking about collaboration in collaborative or multi-agent system, semantics are everything. That means that if two agents interpret the same term differently, for example, balance or access, coordination fails. An ontology solves that by providing semantic alignments. For example, if you have a database with city, towns, or whatever, so you have a semantic alignment. All parties, humans or machine, understand the same thing. And there is also machine readable logic. That means that system can reason, query, and enforce rules. And then it can be reused. There is a reusability. I don't know if you can say that, and composability. Ontologies can be extended and linked across domains. For example, in Axone, we are using ontologies to let agents reason and act under shared meaning. That means that, for example, dataset as owner, as access policy, as a price per query, for example, agent as a role, a reputation, a zone membership. And with these agents, don't just send data, they understand the context and act accordingly. I hope I hope it was clear.
No, thank. I find like the powerful thing about ontologies is that they're not only defining names and words, but with these semantic approaches. We mentioned triple store a few times. Maybe quickly explain it as well. It's quite simple. You have two defined nodes with meaning, two defined things with meaning, and then there's a relation between them. Right? There might be mother and kid, and there's the relationship. Okay, kid is son of mother, right? And then in reverse, mother is parent of kid. That's fundamentally it. But it sounds simple, but if you look at it, it's extremely powerful. And the cool thing about it is that it's machine readable to, let's say, an IA agent, really easy mathematical construct. but it's also very much human readable at the same time. So these are really fascinating concepts. But yeah, it's a machine.
I mean,
I think you need
it
machines to
creates
use
links. It creates links, and this is giving a huge power to machine as soon as you have links. And maybe we can come back on the definition of what is collaborative AI. Because collaborative AI is not just about multiple agents running in parallel. It's about agents and humans working together under shared semantics, logic, and governance. I'm very attached to this because I'm reading a very, very interesting book today about the myth of singularity, and it's very, very interesting. I mean, for me, collaborative AI it's a system where intent is expressed, rules are verifiable, and coordination is programmable. And honestly, I must first say that maybe we can say what collaborative AI is not. And I don't at all believe, as I mentioned, into the myth of singularity. I don't buy into the idea of a all-powerful super intelligence suddenly surpassing humanity and taking over. This for me, this singularity is a modern techno myth fueled more by fear and fascination than by science. How can I say that? It's a kind of narrative that distorts the real issues. I mean, the real issue is not omnipotence, but opacity and fragmentation and lack of alignment. This is the real issue. The real danger is not that AI becomes too intelligent, it is that we let it act without coordination, without context, and without collective oversight. I think this is very important to repeat and to fight for this. I think that collaborative AI allow the opposite of that, and it's not about domination; it's about orchestration. And I think we have to let the myth and the fear aside and to focus on this orchestration. We don't aim to build a godlike intelligence. We aim to build a society of intelligences, structured, decentralized, accountable. I think this is what is very, important for me.
I mean, the interesting thing is that what's the better intelligence? A single entity with a tremendous amount of computational power, or is the power not rather in the network, right? In a lot of entities with a solid amount of computation, with their own unique views on things that are linked together in a composable fashion. It's super fascinating. I don't have the answer. I don't know about the singularity. I mean, even what you described might lead to it, just in a broader spectrum, not a single entity that becomes hyper intelligent. I mean, the singularity only states that there is so much technological development that a human can't cope with it on a day-to-day basis anymore. I don't think it's completely out there and impossible, but I don't know. I'm curious to see. I see these things accelerating right now tremendously quickly. So I think some people already have troubles coping. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I believe it will be for the better and for the best of humanity. But yeah,
it depends only of us. We have to give that direction.
yeah.
I enter in the Web3 because I truly believe that cooperation, collaboration, and decentralization is our tools to allow human beings to create a better world. I think this is really what I truly believe.
Can't say I disagree. Let us get to the next question. We are closing in on the time. So to the community as well, do post your questions. We get to that part in a couple minutes. What do you think? Now we are here, right? ChainsAtlas and Axone. Where do you see the collaboration between truly on-chain agents? I mean, we are in a way building on something similar. in terms of accountability, because in our agents, you know what actions they take. They're completely on chain. In our upcoming blockchain explorer, you will see this is a human wallet action, this is an AI action on chain. Inference happens on chain. It can be validated, but there's no one messing around with the model behind it. Um, and you do the same on a model to model basis, right? So, I mean, the synergies seem clear, but maybe you can um, give us a few ideas on how that collaboration
Yeah.
can be brought to the next level.
So let's try something poetic and around the name of ChainsAtlas. Okay, in Greek mythology, Atlas holds up the sky. Okay, bearing the cosmic infrastructure of the world, and I think that's exactly what ChainsAtlas is doing, providing the execution backbone for agents, letting them live, move, and act across chain. Right. Um, but even Atlas needed a guidance, and this is where Axone can step in, not as a titan, but as something more subtle and essential. I think we are bringing the logos, if we are staying in the Greek mythology. The first,
That's a nice analogy. Yeah, I like that one.
the force of meaning, the force of structure and law. I mean, in my vision, and I wrote recently, I wrote an article on our blog of angels and agents, and agents are the angels of the 21st century. They are invisible, ubiquitous, and they are executing intent on our behalf. But to avoid chaos, they need more than power. They need rules. They need a shared language. They need alignment. In somehow ChainsAtlas is giving them the wings and Axone give them the purpose. And imagine this emerging agentic world as a new Olympus, where ChainsAtlas forged the roads that Angel work on, the MCP and virtualized endpoints, the cross-chain pipes, and Axone defines what the angels can do with whom, under what logics. I mean, we are bringing zones, prolog reasoning, and on-chain governance. And in practice, ChainsAtlas handles execution and interoperability, and Axone ensures semantic coherence, policy enforcement, and composable value sharing. I think that together we form a semantic intent of action where agents don't just move, but they understand, they coordinate, and they co-create. And I think, yeah, if ChainsAtlas gives us the atlas of transport, Axone offers the core of angels, agents who don't just act, but they act with meaning. It's infrastructure, yes, but it's also a mythology of making. I mean, one where intelligence isn't centralized or godlike; it's distributed, accountable, and deeply human in its logic. And this is the agentic future, I think. I like this, this mythology stuff and
You said it
and
way
and
more beautiful than I said it. No, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's beautiful words. I don't have anything to add. It's great. We have one or two questions. If you're open to answer them,
of
then maybe
course.
I would switch to that segment. From Bin Suleiman, in the post-web era, how can collaborative AI preserve users or user autonomy and privacy while still enabling shared intelligence across platforms?
I don't hear the last part of the question. What is?
In the post-web era, how can
Yes,
collaborative AI preserve
yes,
user
yes.
autonomy and privacy while still enabling shared intelligence across platforms?
Yeah, I mean, this is all about governance. So we have to take care of it, and we cannot let or too rigid rules or completely chaotic and non-intelligible elements. Everything is in the governance. Everything is in the capability to express it and to make it apply by the tools. And the danger is to let the tools operated without any, intent. Intention is very important in that stuff. And so the governance is here. And this is our role as human being, to define these governance rules. And we have all the tools now to protect privacy, to protect, to do so that we can use data without exchanging them. We can share the data without exchanging them. You can share data today thanks to decentralization, thanks to blockchains, thanks to a lot of tools. You can preserve privacy and in the same time make your data contributing to additional knowledge. This is technically this is possible. Now we have to just set the rules, and this is our role as human beings.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Bin Suleiman. One from Luke, and I'm not surprised to see it. Do you foresee a world where individuals and orgs via agents can more quickly and efficiently form DAOs?
What is the last word? I didn't understand the last word.
Decentralized.
DAOs. Okay, DAOs. Yeah, I think this is the purpose, definitely. And DAOs are great tools. They are not the final and ended tool, but because there is the question of responsibility. That's why companies are existing, to allow to be very clear about the responsibility. I think you cannot give a DAO the responsibility of something, because that means that every member, every token holder of the DAO will be completely and fully responsible of the action of the DAO, and this is quite complex. I think that's why I think we have to have this governance layer, who are defining the policy, the zones, who are defining precisely the responsibility in each zones, in each part of action. I think this is something very important. I don't know if I answered the question. But once again, it's not technical. It's not technical. It's policy. It's politics.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it was meant. Generally, the concept of agent-driven DAOs is, I think, a very interesting one. And for that, you definitely need an orchestration layer, and you definitely need the ontological element that clearly defines policies, right? And words describing policies.
And also, responsibility is something very important. Who is accountable? You cannot say, the agent was accountable. This is not true. Someone decided the action of the agent, and someone decided to do that. And who is accountable? And this is very important.
Yeah, that's like the agency accountability regarding AI and agents. That's something that for the last year, I think the first time it came up majorly was at our event at Token 2049 last year. And ever since, in every panel I am for that topic, it's always a big part of the conversation. Like, if agents mess up, who's responsible? But if we start this now, we have 10 minutes left. I think we will not have the time. So let's leave it for another day. There is one more from Edawale. First of all, big congratulations to your Greek mythology analogy. I can only agree with that. And then, how do you ensure the reliability and correctness of AI model outputs in a decentralized setting? So I think also very much around your main field.
I think this was all the theme of our conversation.
Very much.
Let's say that if there is one idea that I'd love like listener to take away, is that intelligence is no longer just about computing power. It's about coordination. So we don't need more isolated models. We need systems to collaborate across domains, platform, and communities. Systems that understand intent, enforce rules, and share value fairly. This is what we need, and this is what we have to build. Because all this stuff, all this technological stuff is not going out from nowhere. It's going out from our minds. So we have to set up our mind and to have the mindset to to make it real, and how we structure collective intelligence from centralized platform to composable and decentralized agents. And yeah, this is uh, I mean, this is what we are trying to shape as a future. And everyone here, all the audience, because you are here and you are interested in it. If you are developers, if you are, I can see that here there are also validators. There are, I mean, you are actors of this environment, and you have to ask yourself, what is my mindset? What I want for this, and we have a role to play in this piece. Yeah, definitely.
With that takeaway, I think that's a beautiful point in the conversation to wrap it up. I think you really caught the essence of the last 50 minutes of conversation. Um, and with this, I want to extend a big thank you for doing this, for being here, Emmanuel.
It was a
And I
great
hope
pleasure.
to do it again in a few months when we both are a bit more further along the line.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
our definite is
And I'm
coming
more
out
than happy
very
to this
soon.
conversation, because I hope that we'll be
Yeah,
closer from ChainsAtlas, and that we can work together, because definitely I'm sure that there are things to do together, and it's a
exactly,
great pleasure.
exactly. So with our definite coming up in very soon, um, we should definitely have that conversation as well and see how we maybe can go into the next podcast and presenting a really cool thing we built together. That'd be,
with
I think,
with great pleasure.
that'd be amazing. Okay, Emmanuel, thank you again. Thanks so
Thank
much
you,
for the
Eric.
conversation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
Thank you.
everybody. Yeah, thank everybody for being here, for the great questions, and you will see us again at the normal schedule. So in about 10 days, next week, Thursday, at the normal time and the normal spot. As customary, I don't know who will be there yet, but we'll find out soon enough. And I'm sure it will be an amazing guest, as always. I wish you a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and talk to you again very, very soon.